My name is Clarissa Carizales, and I'm going to talk to you today about social and emotional health in the classroom, or SEL for short. So, what is social and emotional health? Well, emotional health is defined as a person's ability to accept and manage feelings through challenge and change. Emotional health in a child is when a child is able to understand not only their feelings, but the feelings of others. A child who has good emotional health is able to self-soothe as well as cope with their own emotions, meaning they can calm themselves if they get overwhelmed and are able to verbally express how they feel at any given moment. Social health in a child is when the child is able to build strong relationships with their peers and other children their own age, or older or younger. This is shown in their ability to comfortably adapt to different social situations. A sign that a student is socially healthy is that they are able to create boundaries that encourage good communication as well as trust and can manage any conflicts that may arise while they interact with their peers. So both social and emotional health are critical to the development of a student's emotional resilience. So, why is that important to us as educators? Well, for starters, it helps us to create the foundation for a safe and positive learning environment, which is what we all want for our students. Studies have shown that in classrooms where teachers put the focus on the social and emotional health of their students, not only had an increase in their overall attitude towards school and learning, but these were also less stressed students. This also allows our students to have more of a capacity for kindness and empathy. Now, this can look like self-aware students who can communicate their needs effectively and are able to manage stress well, as well as students who are socially aware and more compassionate. Students who can easily empathize with other students who are different than they are. Well, we can show our students this by leading by example. Our students are looking to us to see what is right and wrong, so it only makes sense that what we do, they will also do. So if we want our students to be respectful to us and to actively listen to us, we need to be respectful and actively listen to them. Now, this is a big one in the class that I'm currently working in. My teacher is very big on yes ma'am, no ma'am, and my students are also able to think of how others would feel based on what they'll say. So how do we practice this in our classrooms? We need to give our students every opportunity possible to practice SEL as often as we can. We need to teach them techniques that they can use to self-soothe, such as setting a timer to give them the space to self-regulate, which can mean giving them a chance to feel what they feel rather than making them feel like they just need to get over it. So in my school, my counselor sets that timer, gives them some paper, and lets them crumple that up or throw a little tantrum if they need to. But this gives the student the opportunity to feel how they feel and know that their feelings are valid. Now, when this comes to students with anxiety, we can show them breathing techniques, which is one that I've used in my class a couple times. And we can have real conversations about empathy and how to practice it and what that looks like coming from their peers. Explaining social interactions is key in socially healthy students. Our students are learning how to interact with the world from our classrooms. So it's very important that we allow them to play and we allow them to figure their own way through conversations and conflicts that they have with their peers. We also need to have patience. More patience than we would normally have if we weren't focusing on SEL. When we're implementing these new SEL techniques, social cues and social skills are going to be hard to grasp regardless. But when we're implementing these new techniques, we have to remember that even we as adults struggle to grasp these concepts. So we need to remember to give our students grace while they're learning these things. We need to practice as often as possible. So one way we can do that is by assigning classroom jobs. Assigning classroom jobs is a good way to teach them responsibility, and it can help the students pick up on the cue that following the rules and doing what they're asked is a good way to become classroom leaders, and we know that students love that. We need to prompt and redirect when necessary. It does get frustrating to have to repeat yourself over and over and over, but we need to remember that our students aren't going to be perfect at this. They will need to be corrected from time to time, but we also need to make our exceptions clear so they know what they're striving for. When we're giving our corrections, we need to provide them with encouragement and praise as often as possible. Students love to be praised, and they love to be told that they're doing well, and they don't always do well, but if we praise them and we encourage them, it will motivate our students to keep learning, and the more they learn, the better they'll get at this. So let's take a moment and talk about the emotional side of SEL. The emotional side of SEL is just as important as any core lesson we'll teach. So it's just as important as math or reading or science, but it's very important to remember that it is just as important as anything else we're going to teach them. Emotions rule us as children, and they even still rule some of us as adults. Our emotions are tied to the way that we learn and the way that we process the world around us, so it makes sense that our students also use their emotions to process the world around them. So one way that we can do that is by knowing their name. Studies have shown that just by knowing a student's name, it can help them redirect their thinking. It seems small, but doing this helps the students feel more seen, and they are way more likely to do what we ask them and be more self-aware if they know that we know who they are. Learning their name also helps them know that they're valued, and they feel seen, and they feel respected and as people, and in turn they will want to engage with what we're teaching them. The same way we want to build a socially safe classroom, we also need to build an emotionally safe classroom. The best way we can do that is to teach our students to be emotionally intelligent, and we can do that by creating this emotionally safe space. We need to always, always, always let them know that their feelings are valued. That space is for them to have their feelings, and it's so important, and they'll learn so much if we give it to them. So now that we've talked a little bit about SEL, I hope you learned how important it is and how essential it is for your classroom and your students.